Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the Monday Q&A, so let's get it done. First question. Why are back exercises never a measure of strength in fitness culture? Your back is a big part of your body with a lot of muscle. If compound movements for chest or shoulders, overhead press are, why not for back? And I don't mean deadlift, I mean movements such as row or pull downs. Alright, this is actually very simple because, quite frankly, it's hard to control technique when accounting for this. On squat, bench press, deadlift, you can make rules to keep people from cheating, to actually move the weight with a similar technique to each other within reason. With things like rows or even weighted pull-ups, the ability to cheat and use body English or use partial reps that get really hard to define where the exact points are from person to person for doing full range of motion can vary tremendously. And particularly individual leverages such as arm lengths, even for two people who are equally strong on other lifts, play a larger role on things like barbell rows because it changes the range of motion so much. And even grip widths and things, particularly combined with arm length, can affect these things tremendously, and it's really hard to standardize those because you'll have someone who has two guys who have equally strong backs on things like the deadlift, and all around their lifts they could be within 5% of each other on all of their big lifts. The bench press, squat, deadlift, overhead press, doing a strict press, but then you put them on a rowing motion, and if they're using a different technique and have different arm lengths, they could literally, one of them could row 4 reps 100 pounds more than the other one. And so they're just not a good test. And that's fine because even these lifts don't need to be done strictly to build muscle effectively. Most of your back movements, even if you're trying to build strength or power, you can build a very powerful thick back doing full range of motion or doing partials. You can do it using extremely strict reps or using cheat reps that are very sloppy and use like a lot of body English. And so it's just, they're not a good measure of overall strength, and because not everyone trains them the same, and there is no need to train them the same because there's so much leeway in a pulling type motion as far as it giving you really as much growth and strength in the target muscles of your back as you're going to get. There's so much variation you can do and still make it work ideally that there is no real reason to even try to standardize those things for any reason. So you'll never see it used as a strength standard. You'll probably never see it as a competition lift for obvious reasons. Any of the back movements. All right, next question. What's your opinion on supersets for isolation exercises, in particular those involving small muscles after heavy compounds? Of course they save time, but are they any disadvantage? I recently have been regularly supersetting bicep curls with rear delt raises, and honestly, I haven't felt any negative effects, but it's all broscience, so we'll be glad to hear what your take on it is. Honestly, unless it's impeding performance, I don't see disadvantages, but with small movements like that, you're not as likely to see a negative in performance as long as they aren't using any of the same muscles. And in your case, doing rear delts with your curls, you know, to be honest, I do the same thing sometimes. When I'm doing isolation movements, like curls, sometimes I'll do a set of curls, I'll do a set of rear delt flies, and I'll superset them back and forth myself. So I actually do it too. As long as I'm not seeing any negative effect in performance, I will continue to do them that way, and I'd recommend the same to you. Now, if obviously one of your lifts seems to be suffering from it because you're fatigued with no downtime in between really, then you might want to cut out the supersetting, but otherwise it's not a problem. It's a good way to manage your time. It is very efficient. If you're coming in doing several sets of isolation movements after your big compounds for multiple body parts, it isn't a bad way to get through them quickly and still get the benefits from them, because you've got to remember they're going to be a very, very small part of your growth. It's not critical that you get that perfect rest in between to get one more pound on the bar with microplates, or to squeeze out one more rep on that last set of one of those isos. It's really not that critical in the grand scheme of things, and it can get you out of the gym 5 to 10 minutes faster. So it is a very effective tool for time management, and it's not likely to give you any disadvantages. All right, next question. At what rate should a natural bodybuilder 500 calories over maintenance preparing a 16-week cut for contest decreases calories. You know what? This is the type of question you should never get advice from off the internet. As I've told you guys over and over, if you're going to compete in any sort of physique event and you actually want to be competitive, you don't want to place badly, you need to hire a prep coach. Otherwise, you need to expect your first 3 to 5 contests to go pretty bad. You should expect to place poorly until you've had several contest prep to learn your own body, that how fast you can personally lose fat, how to peak, how to do these things for yourself, because I cannot give you a cookie cutter answer, because you have to assess each individual person's physique, and a good prep coach will assess your progress as you go and make adjustments. If they're not at a bare minimum, getting weekly update photos from you from multiple angles, that is not a good coach. You need to fire them. And the better ones, some of the better ones, will require daily photograph updates from you if they are coaching you, so that they can assess very regularly how to change your intake as they're getting you closer to a show. So do not take cookie cutter answers on this. Do not ask somebody on the internet who is doing it for free, because you're going to get what you pay for. So you either need to learn your own body and how to prepare yourself, and it's going to take you a few mess ups to do it. You're gonna come in, you're not going to get your conditioning right. You're not going to hit your peak correctly your first 2 or 3 shows, I promise you. So you're going to have a learning curve, or you're going to have to hire a coach. I generally recommend hiring a coach if you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, then you need to get your priorities in life straight. You shouldn't be competing in something like bodybuilding if you can't afford the basic expenses of competing in bodybuilding, and that includes a decent prep coach. Alright guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.